All right, and I'll open us up. So it's 7:08, and we will bring the meeting to order. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association Village Board of Directors. We have a couple of administrative items to get through before we get into the meat of the agenda. The first is to approve the minutes from the October 25th, 2022 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Motion from Ginny. Is there a second? Second from Rebecca. Any discussion of those minutes? Okay, all in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3. Oppose? Abstain? 3-0-1. Warren was out for the last meeting. Okay, next on the agenda is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Okay, motion from Ginny. Is there a second? Okay, second from Warren. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
For the Yards Alive, do you want to leave it under committees or do you want to move it up after resident remarks?
Rebecca, would you prefer to have it earlier?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Because we have our people here, so then they don't have to wait.
All right, so I'd like to propose actually two amendments. One would be to bring Yards Alive up into old business after the donation request, and have that replace the Stevens Forest roadway and safety improvement. And if you all didn't see the email I sent about an hour ago, Warren and I talked last night and decided that that's probably best saved for the next meeting because of some actions the Stevens Forest Elementary PTA might be taking where they want to work with us.
Move the amendment.
All right. Motion to accept the amendment. Is there a second? Okay, there's a second from Warren. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the amendment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. All in favor of the agenda as amended? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. All right, and this is exactly why I wanted the Word version, because I will forget everything we just did if I don't do my little edits right here, right now. All right, and I'm sorry, Rebecca, I said replace Stevens Forest with Yards Alive. I just assumed 15 minutes. Is that what you needed? I should have asked the time.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Good.
Okay.
Maybe even 10. It's not like there's much to discuss.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, then we are ready to get underway. So first on the agenda, as always, after the administrative items is resident remarks. Any residents wishing to make remarks to the board have up to 3 minutes to make your remarks. And if you use the hand raise feature in Zoom, I will call you in the order that Zoom picks up your raised hand. So let me get my timer going here. All right, we'll put 3 minutes on the clock. And Mr., is it pronounced Pluge? Pluge?
Yeah, something like that. That's fine.
Something, okay. All right, if I was close enough, the floor is
Close
yours
enough.
for 3 minutes.
All right. I'm a member of the Oakland Mills Interfaith Green Team, and I have been a resident of Oakland Mills for the last 40 plus years, and actually was on Yards Alive tour to Oakland Mills earlier this year. And Yards Alive has been working with us on several projects, including the pollinator garden, for which we got village funds given to us, granted to us several months ago, which is actually nearly finished thanks to 21 volunteers showing up last Sunday and planting 150 plus plants and moving 4 yards of mulch, things like that. They also have been helping us at Oakland Mills Middle School, where the Ecology Institute put in a school garden, and Yards Alive and members from the Oakland Mills Green Team, Oakland Mills Interfaith Green Team, have been helping them to keep the school garden alive and putting all sorts of other things in it, maintenance. And not least, they also helped us with Environmental Fun Night on August 27th, where we had an educational night of activities at the Oakland Mills Interfaith Center, and they provided free pollinator plants to the community. So I've done a lot of work with Yards Alive, and I would like to see this program continue as long as possible.
All right, thank you very much. And you came in at 1:30, only used half your time. All right, next up, we have, well, you don't have your name, but I know your name, Diane Imbach. Go ahead, you have the floor for 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm joining you tonight to talk about the Yards Alive program. This past spring, our cul-de-sac was chosen for the cul-de-sac sustainability program. And it was a wonderful experience. From the beginning of it, where we worked with mainly Rebecca and Megan to design the cul-de-sac plan based upon, what we wanted to see there, through the shopping trips where I relied on, Rebecca a lot to, sometimes we had to do substitutions, learning about what native plants we would like to see in there. And then through the work date, there were a number of members from Yards Alive that came out. They spent the morning with us, helped us plant, spent the time with the neighbors. And then after that, the support that has been available, whether it is through the plant giveaways that we have seen at the election day at the other barn, at the Oakland Mills Fall Festival. They are always there, happy to share their information, the plants. We also, there's also a Facebook group where people are constantly on there asking questions and sharing information, and they're very knowledgeable about what is best for our environment here in Maryland, specifically in Oakland Mills, what plants will be native, non-invasive, will support the pollinators and the other members of our natural community. So I can't say enough about the experience that we've had. It brought our neighbors together. Our cul-de-sac looks gorgeous. The detail and the work that was put into planning it. I mean, it's fall, all the trees are dropping their leaves, and we have these beautiful colors that are coming out with the plants that we planted in May. So it's bringing a lot of enjoyment, and they are so incredibly supportive and work so hard. And I can't imagine not having this program and having other community members being able to experience what we did. So that's what I would like to say.
Thank you.
How was my time?
You hear that? You did like exactly 3 minutes.
Oh, I did. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Alex?
Hi, thank you. I want to thank the village board's longstanding advocacy for finding ways to repair the deteriorating infrastructure in our village's homeowners associations. I especially appreciate the draft letter that is on your agenda. It reinforces your efforts in recent years to get the county's help on this important issue. So I support approving the letter tonight so that the recommended pilot program can proceed as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Sandy, could you, ooh, something's going on again. Could you lower hands for me so that I can tell who's next? Okay, I think that leaves, whoops, no, I think there was a Christine with a hand. Sorry, I meant lower the hands of those who've already gone. I think there was a Christine with a hand raised. Alex is gone, so we can lower his hand.
There
And I think
was- there
Christine
a
was next.
Christine. There was a
Okay.
Christine, yeah.
In the final days of this race.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, it took me a while to
And
find them.
if anyone else had a hand raised who didn't go ahead and raise your hand. I just meant to lower the hands of those who've already spoken. Okay, go ahead, Christine. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, I just wanted to, I live in Oakland Mills, on Rock Sparkle Row. And I just also wanted to show my support for Yards Alive. I don't remember how I found them, somewhere on the internet or something. And I spoke with Meg, and she came to my house, and I already have 2 native gardens, one that was, through the Howard County where they paid for 3/4 of it, and one of my own. And I wanted to expand them, extend them, do more with the backyard. And she came and she's like, oh yeah, you want to do this here and there and there. And these are the native plants that you want. And this is how you extend it. And this is how you do this. And it was just so helpful. And then I went to the plant share, got some plants. She also told me about chip drop, so I could get a lot of mulch for my extended gardens. And it's just a wonderful local resource that really helps homeowners support the natural wildlife in this area. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, it looks like that concludes our resident remarks. So we will go ahead into old business. And I'm sorry, new business. Something's wrong with the indenting now. New business. And first on new business is the upcoming county executives first citizens budget hearing. And Sandy, my first question is, do we have a set date for that yet? It's usually in December. Sandy? Sandy? This is not my night.
No, I said we usually don't get it this early. It's
Okay.
in December, and I'm thinking they're probably going to wait till after tonight and the
Okay.
election results.
Okay.
Mm.
All right, just making sure. So what Sandy has put up on the screen is the testimony we gave at the citizens budget hearing back in March as the county was wrapping up the planning for what was then the upcoming year. The December hearing is sort of the kickoff of the planning for next fiscal year, which is, would that be 20? Yeah, that would be 24. So this was sort of our final say on 23. December it starts to kick off the budget season for 24, which one runs through the spring until the council and executive, I believe, establish a budget in April, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. I'm probably getting dates wrong. So anyway, so these were our priorities at the time. And this is just our first discussion about what and how we might want to prioritize things for the upcoming fiscal year. So first, of course, was the schools. And I think based on what's been going on the past few months, we probably already agree that this is going to stay on here somewhere when we come to old business. I think the revision we obviously need here is, since this is now planning for fiscal 24, then there is no more planning ahead for the renovations to Oakland Mills Middle School. They need to fund it in fiscal 24 because that's when it's scheduled to start. And then the planning would be for Oakland Mills High School. So I think we just need to do a little tweak of the language there, but the rest of it still holds true in terms of when those school system projects would start, as well as the respective conditions of the buildings and the populations they serve. Then we have the Complete Street project for Stevens Forest Road, and Warren and I will be talking a bit more about Stevens Forest Road at the next meeting, but I think we've we've talked about the issues on Stevens Forest Road many times, and especially where the Complete Street project would go, which is basically Stevens Forest Road from Camelback Santiago down past the village to Whiteacre, to connect with the Complete Street projects that the county had already finished, which would also solve some of our issues with how unnecessarily wide that stretch of Stevens Forest Road is. You want to keep scrolling down? If anyone wants to stop me, just let me know. Ginny, my understanding is the trees are being taken care of, so I don't know whether this one is still a relevant issue for the fiscal 24 budget. But that was, we were sort of requesting that on behalf or in partnership with Columbia Association, so I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, let me check on that. They're supposed to be taking care of it, but let me make sure, okay?
Okay, all right.
Jonathan,
Um,
do we need to update it though with if they've removed the trees, replacing the trees?
Well,
Yeah,
see that.
yeah, that's what I
Okay.
want to find out more about, because I don't know, where Columbia Association and the county are together on that, but
Gotcha.
yeah, I would support whatever Columbia Association wants to do in terms of reforesting the medians after they've been,
Oh, okay.
deforested by age and disease.
right.
Mm.
Jonathan, what we didn't get at the last meeting, we got the policy for basically why trees are being taken down, and we raised some issues, but what we didn't get is the policy for replacement, and that's what we're waiting for. So, but
Okay,
quickly on this one, I'll ask on this one.
okay, sounds
And I know
good.
you had the other one was the village center as well.
Yeah, yes, actually, that might be coming up later. That might actually be a new one, because they cut down all the trees at the village center after March. They did that over the summer, so that might be an ad when we finalize this in a couple of weeks.
That looks, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Terrible, so.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to work through what we have to see what we're, what we're thinking of keeping in or not keeping, so that Sandy can have a revised for us under old business. And then we can talk about, ideas we might want to add that we can then vote on at the next meeting.
Okay.
Roadway median maintenance, I think all you have to do is walk outside and look at some of the medians this time of year to realize that no progress has been made there. So unless someone feels it's no longer an issue, I think, that one is same as it was last time. Blandair Park, my understanding is that there is work happening on getting that signage at Blandair Park, but we haven't seen it yet, so I would leave it there. I'm sorry, Lynn, did you have a question?
Yeah, just to be sure that the having leaf removal, the leaf vacuum machines, to have that as make sure that that's included, that can,
Mhm.
It's right at the top of the page. Yeah.
okay, yeah, I see it now.
Yeah. So the Blandair Park signage,
Jonathan, on the leaf
yes.
removal, I think we've been bringing this up for 8 years now. I'm trying to see if we say, could, Oakland Mills be a pilot? If you're not sure you want to start it countywide because of the expense, at least could you try a pilot? And since we're the one that have been recommending it for 8 or 9 years, could you please consider Oakland Mills as the pilot?
I don't know whether we say that. Sandy, can you scroll up to the beginning of it? I don't remember.
I don't think.
I don't think we ever did.
Yeah, so that would be, it's
Okay.
a suggestion. It would cut the.
Yeah.
We'll watch this throughout the night. Sometimes you
I think that's a good idea, because then we're not even asking for, funds committed to do this countywide. You commit fewer funds and you see how it works.
Yeah, whatever it'd be realistic. It could be Oakland Mills and whatever, another area, but and if they want to get political, they could do an all view and non-Columbia and a Columbia, you know what I mean? Okay.
All right, sounds good. So the Blandair, I mean, we haven't seen anything happen yet, so I think we keep that. Orchard Green extension, Warren, any movement on that? Any changes to that?
No, I think it looks good. I
Okay.
talked to Chris Singleton about it, and he said it's on their radar. He's the path guy.
All right, and that was everything we had as of March. So do we have additions to this?
Do we have anything about the roundabout in there? Any improvements to that?
I think we're gonna have to address. Well, I mean, we have the general, Stevens Forest Road concerns in here, not specifically the roundabout. I think Warren and I talked last night. I think we sort of have to put our marker down that Stevens Forest Road is a problem. We haven't gotten much traction saying all of Stevens Forest Road is a problem. So I think we're also going to have to go to, Public Works and others with sort of separate and specific issues all the way along the road, because that seems to be what gets at least a response versus, hey, just fix the whole Stevens Forest Road in the budget request. At least that's what Warren and I felt last night when we were talking about Stevens Forest Road.
Or was Jenny talking about getting plants or something lovely better to look at in the roundabout instead of just being a big flat brick like
So
we
I think
met that
isn't
one
it
day?
Safety more than anything.
Yeah, right. A lot
Well,
of the issues have been safety, ice building up, et cetera, safety issues. But I agree with you, if there's a way to help people see it earlier,
Right.
maybe plantings would be part of the issue, because you're coming up to that right away. If you're new to the area and you don't know, you could wind up hitting somebody coming out of Farewell and going around. So the plantings may be a solution that are, more visible.
well, Bill Warren and I think Bill Warren and I met out there a while ago to discuss that, but I don't know where that went.
I don't think it's gone much of anywhere, because the last shot we took at that was in I think the public space letter that Warren and I signed that said, comprehensive look and listed everything. And like, that's what Warren and I were talking about last night. That that got absolutely no reaction at all. At least when we break it up into smaller pieces, we seem to get something. Like when we focused in on the issues at Stevens Forest and Kilimanjaro, we found out from Chris that, well, first of all, a new sign got erected there, and we found out from Chris that they were looking into some of the other things we had suggested and had actually procured that light up sign that unfortunately wouldn't sync with the lights and hasn't been able to go up yet. So that's where Warren and I were talking last night, saying, maybe we need to get more specific and tackle these one by one. And I don't mean, tackle them one by one as in put certain things off, but actually send separate and more specific correspondence to the county on each one.
Bill has his hand raised.
Bill?
Yes, Jonathan, to answer your point, Rebecca, the list of list of questions and potential solutions about the Stevens Forest Roundabout that you amended, sent me some amendments. I put those in there, so it's updated with that, and then I forwarded that to Jonathan so that as we worked on the issues with Stevens Forest Road, that would be somewhere in the mix. So that's where that is, to my knowledge.
Yeah, and I believe this testimony here still asks for, I think, funding for a comprehensive study of the whole road, which is where I think we want to leave things at the county executive level, because if he'll commit the money to something like that, then the other pieces fall into place. And meanwhile, we go at the other pieces, it's basically all with Public Works. I was going to say with the appropriate department, to see what can be done along the way. But, obviously, if there's funding for the whole road, that better enables them to do those things. So that's where I'm thinking from a budget perspective, we ask for the whole road, and then for the rest, which is what Warren and I were going to talk about at the next meeting, we go after the issues individually, the issues along the road, because the issues with the traffic circle are, a bit different than the issues in front of Stevens Forest Elementary, which are a bit different than the issues at the Village Center, just because of the way the road changes along its length.
And the different ways it's used along its length also.
Right. Yeah, Village Center is more of a motor speedway. Roundabout is more mass confusion. All right. Anything else we think we want to add, or, put a placeholder for when we look at this under old business? All right.
The only thing I might add is CA they use leaf blowers to clear their paths very successfully. So I don't know why we couldn't do that on the roads.
I do. because they'll come blow it onto everyone's yards, and then everyone will be screaming that now the leaves are in their yard. No, actually, I saw CA out on the pads the past couple of days doing it, and those blowers are very effective.
Well, wait, we're not talking about a leaf.
But these are
blower.
vacuums we're talking about.
Vacuum to take it
Yeah.
and then recycle it.
Yeah.
And the median strips, take the leaves away, not
Yeah.
yet, right, aren't we?
I don't know.
We
I don't know.
are. Yeah, we're talking about vacuums because seriously, I think there's a high likelihood that what will happen is there will be a sort of an ongoing battle between the county and property owners where everyone's blowing it in everyone else's direction. I mean, I see it now, unfortunately. I know, we're not supposed to do that, but I go by houses where it's very clear that they, went to the front yard, went to the sidewalk and just blew the leaves onto the, the shoulder of the road. So if the county blows them back, rather than
Yeah.
vacuuming them, that's what's going to happen.
I
Well,
think a big
but
problem with the county and with CA, if they're maintaining them, they're not maintaining them for leaves. And those are the exact leaves that are in the road that get in the storm drains more than anything else.
Exactly.
It's the county leaves that CA is supposed to maintain and nothing's happening. And those are the ones that are going to clog up the storm drains more than others.
Well, honestly, I only partially agree with you on that. Yes, the leaves from the medians will end up in the storm drains, but I see plenty of leaves along the shoulder coming from, the direction
but
of
the county
private
should be
property too.
responsible for what they're doing
Yes.
with regard to the storm drains.
Mhm.
Yeah, when we did this 8 or 9 years ago, Montgomery County had a successful program. So I don't know if somebody wants to check into whether Montgomery County still has that program and if it's working, how exactly it works. But it was a vacuum and, you shred them, you use them for mulch or something. So it's a recycling thing, really. Unfortunately, it does cost something.
Yeah, lots of communities have that, and you rake your leaves down into the past the sidewalk, right where the sidewalk and the street meet, and they come along and vacuum them up. Now, I've seen people raking their leaves down off of the sidewalk and then continue raking them into the storm drain. I've seen people deliberately doing that.
Me too,
So,
Lynn.
yeah, and so. I mean, I think it just makes sense. I mean, everybody's spending all this time, effort, and money to bag up all of their leaves, and then they go away, and who knows what happens to them. They put them in plastic bags, and they have to shake them out, throw the plastic bags away. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. Lots of other communities have this.
Jenny, what Montgomery County still has to this day is they have leaf vacuuming districts, and it's primarily in the more densely populated parts of the county. So start from the DC line and, work your way out, toward places like White Oak, Silver Spring, Bethesda, places like that. And they put signs up and basically say, this is the leaf collection area. And, you can take your leaves to those collection areas and something comes and vacuums them. But it certainly doesn't extend out, into the more rural areas of the county, but they do still have something. I don't know whether it used to be countywide.
Well, then this would support what we're saying in terms of Oakland Mills being a
Mhm.
pilot. After all, it's our idea. We've been advocating it. Hey, don't give it to another community.
Mhm.
I hate to be selfish, but I am with this issue. So they should start with us. Yeah, and that would support that because we are a more dense area.
Yeah. So can we
wanna
draft that
start-
into it, Sandy?
Yeah, you don't want to start in
Yeah.
West Friendship or Lisbon or,
Yeah.
I don't
Bill?
think.
Yes, I just went online, looked Montgomery County's program. It started November 7th. There's instructions of the maps of what areas are going to be hit, and what dates, how to pile the leaves, not in the street, but from the curb up to the sidewalk, et cetera. So it's still very active and very detailed.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay. Anything else on this? Any more discussion of leaves? No? Anyone like that really fiery red tree that's on the edge of the Oakland Mills Middle property? It's all basically gone now, but last week, my gosh. Okay.
Where are the
And-
leaves?
Well, now the leaves are well, actually the leaves may be gone because they had that tournament there, so they probably went and mowed and mulched
For that,
the
yeah.
fields at the middle school. Yeah.
Or they're down a drainage.
Right. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the first citizens budget hearing, which will likely be sometime in December, except we don't know when yet? All right, we'll move into old business. So first up on old business is our follow-up on the donation requests we've received. And thank you to Sandy for going back to all of our requesters. It looks like they all did respond with prioritized lists showing us what their needs are. As of right now, we have, I think, $5,000 in the donation budget for consideration for the fall, and we amended our donations policy to, more formally say we can reconsider this later in the fiscal year as we see what our finances look like. So, this is the start. It may or may not be the end. And I don't think these are in any particular order, or maybe it's just in the order they were received. I don't know,
Yeah,
Sandy. Is there
basically,
any
they're
particular? Okay.
not in, yeah, they're just
Okay.
there. Mhm.
Okay. So first up, we had Oakland Mills United, and I think their total request was around $750, mostly for just the administrative things they need to do to keep things going while they still establish themselves. So we see their priority list now. And I think I explained this last time, but the reason they need the reason they have background checks, if you're wondering why Oakland Mills United needs such a thing, is they're sending in people to do tutoring and counseling with school age children. So they've decided that it would be appropriate to run a background check on anyone who is volunteering before they put them in a room with minors. Questions, discussions, or thoughts on the Oakland Mills United request? Or do you want to walk through all of them and then come back and figure out amounts, if anything?
Walk through all of them.
Okay. All right. So the next one was Stevens Forest PTA, Stevens Forest Elementary PTA. They had a request totaling 2,000, and they are prioritizing what I'll call the more education oriented pieces of their request first. So the Mobile Science Center and STEM Lab, which ranges from 750 to 1,200. They don't have an exact amount, followed by field trip supplies, and then the beautification stuff for the campus.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm a little confused because that adds up to more than their total $2,000 request, but I guess it really doesn't matter. We can
Right.
we can do whatever we want with
It's
it.
probably what that would actually cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their paragraph there doesn't match the list below, because they say they would use 600 for the STEM lab, but they have that listed as 750 to 1,200.
Yeah.
And then they say 200 for supply kits, but they have that at 500.
Yeah, something's off.
I didn't look at the math.
Maybe they were revising it to show that they could, they could do with less if
Oh.
they got less how they would disperse.
Right.
the money.
I think I understand what they're doing. They're showing us the total cost for all this stuff, and they're saying we asked for $2,000. If you gave us 2,000, this is how we would allocate it among these items. That's
Right,
what they're
and that
saying.
comes up to 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The high school PTSA is a really easy one. The whole amount would go toward the after prom, which cost them about, I didn't realize this, it cost them about $14,000 to run the after prom event. And then the boosters, I'm sorry, the fine arts boosters, not the boosters, the high school fine arts boosters, their top priority, and trust me, they're not expecting a check for $10,000 from just Oakland Mills Village. They're just breaking out what stuff is going to cost to get done, but their top priority is starting the multi-year plan to replace the band uniforms, followed by the other items down below. That number 5 item is actually the one I believe we funded last year. That was the master clinicians. And that was everything, right, Sandy?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's have some discussion.
Question. saw, I'm actually trying to pull it up now, so I'm not making it up, but I'm not fast enough. I should have let somebody else talk first. I saw something, I think it was the high school, Oakland Mills posted something about their
Yes.
choral group is going on a big trip. That's not this fine arts booster, right? That's something different. You know what I'm
No,
talking about?
the high, so yeah, that was breaking news last week. The choral group found out they have this opportunity to do this prestigious performance out in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's going to cost them about $10,000 to do that. They have not come to the Fine Arts Boosters requesting funding. Therefore, the Fine Arts Boosters haven't requested funding to help them, and it would have been after our deadline anyway. They have set up a site through the school system itself where anyone can log onto that site and make a donation. But they have not asked the Fine Arts Boosters, nor have they come to Oakland Mills Village to ask for anything.
Gotcha. Just one, because I saw that they had other fundraising efforts set up for that,
Right.
which in my opinion is a good thing. I'd like to give them money knowing that they're doing other efforts too, but that is
Mhm.
not related. So that is.
No, it is not related to this.
Mhm.
So we have a total of 5,000. Is that what we?
We have
Yes.
a total of 5,000 allocated in the budget that we passed back in April.
Mhm.
Yes.
So obviously we aren't funding everything right now.
Yeah, right.
And we do reserve the right to reconsider these. I think the other thing we wrote into the policy is, if you put something in by the October 15th deadline and we're reconsidering at the end of the year, you can revise your ask, but you don't have to ask again. We'll continue to consider whatever we were unable to fund along with anything else that might come in. So, now is just a matter of determining, how much of that $5,000 in donations we want to allocate now and how we want to allocate it to our requesters.
Well, I personally really like the idea of funding Oakland Mills United because it's an effort that came from the students themselves. I think it's really what we want to encourage, to have a strong community going forward. The sort of commitment that they've demonstrated, how well thought out all of their, step by step as they organize themselves, and now going into where they're going to be working with development development of the next generation of Oakland Mills United members. So I think it's excellent.
Yeah, and another nice thing about Oakland Mills United is when all those students came out to testify for Oakland Mills High School, Oakland Mills United took the lead in organizing the students. OMCA played a key role in organizing the parents and the grandparents and the other concerned people of greater than high school age. Oakland Mills United is what really got those students organized.
And that's what we need. We need that next generation.
Yeah.
So I would vote for fully funding what they're asking for, the $750.
So they're $750. Okay.
Wait,
I think
we have 5,000. I'm sorry.
we have 5,000 total right now. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do, and I think we've done it this way in the past, instead of voting each item one by one, if we can sort of come to verbal consensus, and then we'll just vote the whole thing at the end, just to make life simpler. Is everyone okay with that? All right.
Sure.
Is there any further discussion or any objection to funding Oakland Mills United at $750?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Let me just make a note so we'll know how to make the motion in the end. Okay. All right. You want to scroll on down, Sandy? Okay, the Stevens Forest PTA, they had a request that totaled 2,000. And as we figured out, as we read through it, they're telling us now how they're going to allocate it. So it doesn't necessarily fully fund anything if they allocate it that way, but it helps with everything is I guess what they're basically telling us. Although it's really, they're going to use it toward the education items. It's not going to go toward the light posts and the brick patio. discussion or thoughts on Stevens Forest Elementary PTA request?
Well, I like the STEM lab. I would fund that. I like the supply kits to probably go along with the STEM lab, and the field trip, maybe some extra in there for the field trip enrichment, because I think it's, the kids need to be able to get out of the school and see other things. So that would be, I guess, how did they do it? 800, 600, 800, I can't read it. 600 for the STEM lab, 200 for the supplies, that's 800.
800.
And then whatever we would do with the enrichment classes above that.
What if we gave them an even 1,000 right now, which is about half their request and would cover the things that, we're interested in covering, and then we can hold the rest and see how the fiscal year goes as we go to the fourth quarter in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd go for that.
And we can even just do the 1,000 until we get to the bottom of this list, and then maybe we throw a little more at it,
Okay.
depending on how everything else shakes down.
That sounds good. All right, high school PTSA, $1,000. They want to put it all toward the after prom event.
Yes.
I personally think that's very reasonable, and it keeps kids safe after prom.
Safe. It's a safety issue.
Yes.
Nice to do it, but it also keeps them safe.
I agree. I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I supported that when my kids were in high school. So I think it's a great program, and I think it's
All right.
Good.
And just going by my quick John math, we're up to $2,750, $2,750, which means we potentially have $2,250 available to us if we were going to go up to the limit of our budget line item as it stands right now. If I did that math correctly at this hour, I'm amazed, but I think I may have.
Yes, you did.
Okay. All right. All right. And then next on the list is FAB, Oakland Mills High School Fine Arts Boosters. And they've broken things out. Obviously, we're not writing a check for $20,000 or even $10,000 right now because 5 is our limit, and we've already used about half of that. But any thoughts on what we would like to at least get FAB started with?
Well, if you gave them 2,000, that leaves you with $250 left for any emergency that we always kind of put a little aside for, as there's been fires or fires. But that's just what we've brought up every year, is to put a little bit in reserve.
Well, 2,000 is really a drop in the bucket for what they need.
It brings us up to then.
No, I mean, that's a good idea, because
Yeah.
that's, that they need so much. It's yeah.
Sandy, could you scroll down a little bit?
I'm kind of
Okay.
thinking of this as how many people does it serve? And looking at, I'm not drawing any conclusions, just another way to think of this, because it's always tough because we want to fund everything. But Stevens Forest Elementary School is about 1/5 of the high school, right?
But it's not every high school student.
Probably.
You're right. That's a good
roughly,
point.
yes. Yeah.
So probably about equal.
Yeah.
E-
So
equal students affected.
I would have to ask the school for enrollment. I mean, basically FAB is serving students who are in band, orchestra, theater, dance. I'm going to miss something and get in trouble. Choir. Yes. Thank you. Choir. So that's 5.
And there's
so
a few different
it's-
choirs, a few different bands, a few
Yeah,
different
like
orchestras.
there are 2 orchestras, there are 2 bands plus the marching band. There are 2 choirs. Yeah, exactly. The fine arts department at Oakland Mills High is a fairly large department. I don't know what proportion of the 1,400 students are in fine arts, but it's it's fairly substantial.
Yeah, I think there's more to just the number of kids who are in it though, because having a strong program like with the band and the theater really contributes to sort of the spirit and the culture of the school. So all students benefit from it.
Yeah, let's do the 2000. And like you said.
And as I'm learning as my kids age, things just get more expensive as they get into the
Right.
higher grades.
Mm.
Everything is just more expensive.
Well, I guess that's where I was going with that is should we consider trying to give them more? Since we're giving Stevens Forest an entire 1,000 and the fine arts at the high school affect more people than the students that would be affected at the
Mhm.
elementary school. That's what I was trying to do the math on.
Yeah, I mean, we could, as I think Sandy just did the math, and if we did 2,000 here, that would leave us
$250.
$250 for, any incidentals, anything that might come up, where we decide we want to make a donation sort of out of cycle. We don't have to have that cushion if we don't want to have it. And of course, we also have that option of reconsidering all of this in the spring once we see what our finances look like. And I'm not saying this year is necessarily going to be like previous years, but in previous years, we know that we've, thanks to some very sound financial management from Sandy, we've gone into that fourth quarter able to give more than what we originally budgeted.
Yeah, I would think too, though, that we have to consider that we're giving 2,000 or we're proposing giving 2,000 to the high school boosters and then another 1,000 to the high school for the after school, for the after prom party. So that's 3,000 to the high school. And so it is really, it's not heavily weighted to the elementary
Yeah,
school.
good point.
And even the Oakland Mills United is really high school kids.
Yeah.
Good points.
I mean, I'm comfortable with where we are now and leaving some money so that we have some discretion if we decide there's something else, right? We control this. So, as Sandy said, if something comes up in the community, someone doesn't even necessarily have to ask. We might just say that this is somewhere where we want to make a donation because there's a hardship, something's happened.
Good.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, then, can I have you want me to read this off? Can I have a motion to make donations in the amounts of $750 to Oakland Mills United, $1,000 to the Stevens Forest Elementary PTA, $1,000 to the Oakland Mills High School PTSA, and $2,000 to the Oakland Mills High School Fine Arts Boosters? Someone just say so moved, because the chair
motion.
shouldn't make a motion.
So moved.
Okay.
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. I see a second from Bill. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Thank you. Okay. Now we will get to Yards Alive and we will turn it over to Rebecca. And is anyone else here from the Yards Alive team? I see. Okay.
Yes,
I do
quite
see
a
you. There
few.
you are. Excellent.
Thank you. So I don't know, Sandy got my email.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yes, it's little though.
Sandy,
Can you click
can you click the
slideshow?
slideshow button? Nope. Great minds think alike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
top.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm gonna tell you to, because this presentation was made for a different audience, so it goes through a lot of the details of Yards Alive that you guys already know. So I'm not
How do
gonna
you
spend
get to the
time.
next slide?
Maybe space.
The down.
Oh,
Enter.
okay. I got it.
So first I want to thank Hans and Diane and Christine for speaking during resident speak out. It's really nice to have you guys and to show how much you appreciate what Yards Alive has done. I've been amazed at what we've done this year. So the whole point of this is I just want to give you guys a recap of and a thank you for having supported us through the year and to just kind of show what we've been doing with our time. You can go ahead, Sandy. And you guys know the objective of Yards Alive, to create sustainable yards, better than just plain grass and trying to help people do that. You keep going, Sandy.
Whoops.
There we go. Perfect. Oh, yep, that one. So right now, I'm gonna go out of order here. Well, we have 11. I didn't do this math, but we have apparently 11 volunteers, and these are all volunteers, with the exception of a couple from Glenmont. It's mostly
I don't know. It's
Oakland
very
Mills.
sensitive.
That's okay. It's mostly Oakland Mills residents who have been spending our time with monthly meetings and countless other volunteer hours. We've added some more members lately. At the beginning of the year, we only had maybe like 7 or 8 of us, and so now we've added a few. Our blog goes out regularly, with just articles about what's happening in our own yards and trying to encourage our neighbors. Being hyper local is the whole goal of our group, because there's lots of information out there about natives and things, but it's nice to have a source of exactly right here in Oakland Mills. Our Facebook group is very popular and active. People are posting, I would say almost daily, pictures of the yards, although it's dwindling off a little now as less exciting things are happening, but we still have a few posts regularly and comparing knowledge. So the Facebook group has grown. That is well beyond Oakland Mills for sure. The people who have come to our events have joined that. And Instagram as well, where you can see pictures of all our native things. You know our goals, so we can skip this unless you want me to tell you, but I think I'll save your time. Oh, we lost Sandy though.
No,
Sandy,
I'm
you can
here.
go to the next one. Okay, so the things that we've been doing, like I just said, our blog and our Facebook and our Instagram group. We also have an email address where people have written questions and we've helped them through that. And the community events are, which I'll go into in detail, but those are the main ways that we are reaching the community. We've been contacted by some other villages to go do talks that we have done a couple of those also. So I already talked about our blog. You can do the next one. And keep going because I summarized all this before and I want to save your time and get to the juicy stuff. Nope, keep going. Okay, I'll just tell you here for this one. I think it goes into it in more detail on other slides, but our plant share, we had 2 plant shares this year. Actually, it does. There's pictures, so keep going. Okay, so we had 2 plant shares this year and we gave away, it's hard to tell because people bring plants at the beginning and then refresh them throughout the event. So we never, it's a rolling inventory. We don't have a good count, but we estimate about 2,000 plants that we had given away this year to probably about 200 different people that have come, that came by our booth at the 2 different plant shares. Actually, it was really great being at the festival. We're really thankful for Sandy and Brigida to allow us to tag along to the 2 events that we did for the plant share. I think it brought new people. And I think for this fall festival, we brought people to the event too, which was neat to help encourage both ways. Okay, carry on. And our yard tour this year, we have been talking about since COVID started. And this was the first year we finally pulled it off. We had, oh man, somebody else from Yards Alive chime in here. I think we had 8 yards, 10 yards. Yeah, 8 yards. Thanks, Hans. For people to go visit. And we had about 40 residents. It's hard because everybody kept track of their own yards, so we don't know exactly, but we had about 40 residents participate in the yard tour. Where they visited different yards throughout Oakland Mills to get different examples of sustainable gardening that their neighbors are putting into effect. We also, you can see that picture down at the bottom, gave away lots of plants during that also. We like to share our plants. That's a big thing. Next. We did, for the first time, as you all know, thanks to the village board support, we helped redesign 2 cul-de-sacs. Moon Gong Court and the Bowl, one in the spring and one in the fall, and they both worked out really awesome. We estimate we drew in about 40 different houses, community members that came and helped plant those 2 different cul-de-sacs. So that was really awesome. Diane had to leave, but she said it was one of the first events they've had where all the houses on their street came out and helped. So it's really something that has brought their neighborhood together and that they will continue to work on and get to maintain and appreciate. So this program we're really grateful for, but it's a big success in our book anyway. And we also, Yards Alive was also working closely with OMI this year with Hans, and one of our other members is Wendy, and through their work at OMI, the Interfaith Center, which is right outside the Village Center. So what they do there is a really great example for everybody to see every time they come to the Village Center. They had a green event that Yards Live was able to participate in, and we were able to help out with planting this pollinator garden, which you can see in the photos. Oh, something else that didn't have a slide is we have our Yards Alive email that we've helped about 16 different residents with questions and answers through the emails with designs. Sandy, you forwarded me an email about somebody needing garden help. We were able to help her
Okay.
and connect people with whatever information it is that they need. Oftentimes it involves one of our members going out and meeting with the people and looking at their yards and giving one-on-one advice. Which gardening places will do that for a lot of money. So it's nice to be able to have a neighbor that can just come and chat with you when you need it. So these are our future goals. We want to have more talks and continue with the garden tour and plant giveaways. We want to try to work with different population groups that we aren't yet. So students would be a really great place to start with that.
Rebecca,
Yes.
can I chime in for a sec?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've gone to see the new Talbot Springs, where they have outdoor enclosed areas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one that they want to do a whole garden with. So it might be a great place to check in with them.
So the schools primarily are working with CEI, with the Nourishing Gardens program, which
Oh,
Megan
okay.
is working with to get one at Thunder Hill right now. We're happy to help, but that Nourishing Gardens is set up to work with the schools like that.
Okay.
Hi-
Yes, we did contact Talbot Springs as well, and I'm talking to the principal. However, they're still in the construction, so not able to make any commitment.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. My screen just turned blank and said, "Oh, snap."
I don't know.
Han,
Tonight.
you want to add something?
He did.
Oh, he did. Oh, well, I didn't
He
see
said
that.
he had talked to the principal at Talbot Springs, and they're still working on getting things all together. So it's not that they're not interested. She just couldn't commit.
Gotcha. You can move on to the next slide. And that's it. Like I said, this wasn't for this audience yet, but I just wanted to give you guys an overview of everything that we've been doing this year. We may be coming with some funding requests in the future. These are the ways that we foresee needing some help, but for right now, we're really excited about all the work that we've been doing and all the residents that we've been able to connect with. So that's it, unless anybody has any
I
questions.
have a question.
Yeah.
Jenny has a question. My question is, was this started as part of a CA, their climate committee? And has CA offered any funding? Have you asked them?
It's a sore subject. Yes.
No,
Yes.
it's under their name.
I know. So the CA Sustainability Committee, this was a pilot offshoot of them. So we have a member of the Sustainability Committee that chairs Yards Alive. She runs all of our meetings. We did ask CA for money, and they kind of said there's no way for them to give us money there's no channels for it or something. Maybe Jenny can chime in a little bit on that, but so yes, we have tried that.
That's
So we
crazy.
are exploring other options.
That's crazy. Okay. Jonathan, look up. You're muted.
I thought Rebecca had called on Jenny. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, Rebecca's.
Oh, am
Rebecca-
I supposed to call? Oh, okay.
Rebecca's sharing.
Jenny Thomas.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca Bryant. Okay, great presentation. And of course, other people that spoke at the beginning were fantastic and the whole group is fantastic. One other thing you forgot, there's so many things you guys have done. You also helped with the Adopt a Stream, which was Oakland Mills High School. It was the first one ever created in Columbia and Howard County. And you guys got involved in that as well. So as somebody that worked with the student, I want to thank you very much for your help there. You're all over the place, quite frankly. The other thing, to answer the CA question, okay, I know that keeps coming up. Columbia Association, and it was a big issue of mine, created the climate sustainability and climate change advisory committee a couple of years ago, I think about 3 years ago. We reached a point where we're thinking of some pilots, vulnerability of our facilities and the community. And we were looking at, let's start that in Wild Lake. Then it wasn't called Yards Alive. It was how do you look at all these lawns that are, you know, in some ways, could you do some parts of a lawn in a more environmental way? You know, to just provide more environmental conditions for both wildlife, everything, as well as the clean water, et cetera, and the streams and all of that. So I was pushing for Oakland Mills being selected as that, and it was a gamble, quite frankly. I was risking that Oakland Mills would be able to pull it off. So that's my fault that Oakland Mills was selected. And then
Wild Lake.
What?
You said Wild Lake was selected.
No, Wild Lake was selected for the vulnerability study, which was going to take years. Oakland Mills, the what is now called Yards Alive. It wasn't called that at the time. It was lawn regeneration, et cetera. But that I pushed that we please accept Oakland Mills as the pilot. And the committee agreed to that. And so then I kept calling people to get a group together. Bill, you were at one of the first meetings, Bill McCormick and others. Catherine on the climate committee agreed to chair it. It's a lot of work. It meets monthly and it's been meeting now monthly for 2 years. So as far as the CA role, this is really something that's being done in Oakland Mills. It's a pilot, and if it succeeds, and I don't think there's any question about it now, since other villages are asking, please come and do a presentation for our village. I think you may have done about 3 presentations already, and you have another request from Hickory Ridge coming up. So that's part of the story. I was particularly looking for master gardeners. Not everybody is a master gardener. And just people that are really interested, but we got a good mix of people. They are most outstanding people. I think we were very lucky in Oakland Mills that we have these people serving. And I think, and I know you probably support this, that they have done an excellent job. And I think the board's been very supportive. As the CA funding, it's not a nonprofit group. CA funds nonprofit groups. And you have to apply for grants, et cetera. Right now, CA put in the budget 0 for grants, has 0 for the last couple of years. I'm going to fight that. We could talk about that later. I think we need to do more than 0 in a budget for community grants. But this is not a nonprofit. So you have been generous in terms of, I think you didn't charge them any for the space. But then again, what you got in return is a lot of the community got free plants, and it costs them a lot. They can explain to you what they're doing, but it's all their hard labor, and they go get the pots, and they're doing all this at their expense, including Catherine has been using a Zoom, paid for the Zoom. And Rebecca has paid for the website, and that's $80 or $85 a year.
Megan.
Megan, I'm sorry, Megan has paid for the website. And one of the things you see on the list there is, and I'll get back to this, is I would love to see Oakland Mills sponsor that website, $85 a year. It gets a lot of traction, and that would in big print be saying, however you want it on there, sponsored by Oakland Mills, Village Center, Community Center. So what I'm just saying is to keep asking if Columbia Association, there's a lot of committees. It's not like that. What they did do was put this group on the website, and under sustainability, we changed all that on their website. So they spent time working with them on that, in terms of if you go on a CA website and you want to find out what's going on in the environmental area, this is one of the groups that they are promoting. But that's it's not like CA does that for groups that aren't nonprofits.
So I completely support what Yards Alive does, and I think they should be funded and well funded. I don't understand what CA is doing. I can understand if Yards Alive were an independent group like OMU, right? We won't give money to OMU unless we know they're a valid nonprofit. All the organizations we just gave money to are independent nonprofits.
Right.
If I go to this, I'm actually on the CA website. CA itself says it's under Columbia Association. Yards Alive is an exciting new program established to educate homeowners, blah, 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 blah. So if it's a CA program, why does it have to be an independent nonprofit? CA funds plenty of its other programs. So my thought is either CA needs to stop taking credit for the hard work that Yards Alive is doing, and then Yards Alive needs to go through the process of becoming a tax exempt, and raise funds the way other nonprofits do. Or if CA is going to call it one of their programs, they should fund it. But I don't think CA should have it both ways.
Well, I respectfully don't agree in that the group asked CA to please get them some publicity. And so we asked them to do that in order to get some recognition. But the real benefit to a lot of it is for Oakland Mills residents. That's where they're going out to the homes when somebody says, I need help. That's where they're offering their services for the cul-de-sacs, although thank you, CA Village Board paid for those two. But it's not just improving the environment. Your money brought you developing a community engagement thing. You got the community together at the ball. One neighbor said to me, oh, I don't know who that person is. The person had moved in 2 years ago. So you're developing community engagement, which is what Oakland Mills is all about. So
And
you're doing
Ginny,
a lot more.
can I stop you for a second? Tonight, I really just wanted to tell you guys what we've been doing this past year. We still have budget discussions amongst ourselves to figure out for another time. But I think it's obvious that we have done a lot, and we are proud of the work we've done, and really grateful for all of the volunteers, many of whom I see your faces on here now, or your names at least. So that's really, I don't want to take up your time with this other stuff here tonight. Sorry, Ginny.
No, go ahead.
So,
Keeping us on our time track, right, Bill?
so Rebecca, I just have to say bravo. I'm very,
Yes.
very impressed with what you've done in this short amount of time, and the amount of energy and support that you've generated. Just bravo. Hats off to you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Rebecca, to close? All right, well, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone with Yards Alive. What you have done is truly wonderful. The work at the festival, the work in the cul-de-sacs, the work all over. It's people know Yards Alive now. you have I almost said you have a reputation in the neighborhood, but that sounds negative. You have a very good reputation throughout the neighborhood and Columbia, and it's much appreciated.
Mostly, although Jonathan, I saw some guy digging up his grass the other day in Thunder Hill, and I was like, ooh, are you gonna plant something? And he's like, yeah, grass. And I'm like, Oh, I just got excited that you were going to plant something useful. And he was like, oh, grass is useful. And I'm like, no, something more alive. And he's like, grass is a plant. It's alive.
You were talking
Okay,
to my
we're-
husband, I think. He just left the house.
All right. Well, what do we have next? Where are we in this? Oh, this will be a quick one. HCPSS Capital Improvement Program update. The county council did pass Council Resolution 189 as amended. Among the amendments being moving Oakland Mills High School back to start in 2026, so that they can go on to the onto the state commission, and that passed by a three. No, I just had it up here. It was well, it passed 3-2 vote. Actually, our council representative, Dr. Jones, made the motion. It was seconded by Councilwoman Rigby, and it was 3-4, 2 against. I was not able to watch the hearing to what the objections might have been of the other two, because it was held on Halloween, I think, at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I was at work, but it did pass. All right. After that, we have Bill with the revised letter on HOA roadways. And is that in our packet?
I never
I
got a
don't see it in our
letter.
packet.
I never got it. Never saw it. I don't know if anyone else did.
Why don't we have that?
No, I haven't seen it.
It was never sent to us.
All right, I'm looking for it. Bill, do you have it?
Yes, on my PC, I had
Okay.
sent that to you, Jonathan, I guess a week or so back, and you said you'd read it over the weekend, and then I followed up with you, can we get it on tonight's agenda? And you said, yup, and Sandy,
yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
were all in on those
Yeah, but I
emails,
never
so
saw the
I
letter.
Oh, was it not?
anticipated then that
Oh.
it would be included.
You know what? I didn't look here. I just assumed that when you said, can we get it on the agenda, you had the letter attached again for Sandy. I didn't realize the letter wasn't attached a second time. Sandy, I can either forward it to you, or if you promote me, I can share
No,
my
I'll let you
screen.
share.
Okay, hang
I'm
on.
promoting you.
Let me
I just promoted
download it
you.
so I can
Yeah.
launch it in an app. Sorry.
And
I didn't realize there was an attachment. I don't know if I.
No, there wasn't. I assume when after Bill sent it to me, I read it over the weekend, and he said, "Is it good to put on the agenda?" and sent that email to both of us. I just assumed he also had the letter attached, so that when I said, "Yeah, put it on the agenda," I thought you had the letter.
Okay, and my thought, Jonathan, is that we could read through it now, but other board members might want to have been able to take more time to read it through,
Yeah.
consider it, maybe make some notes on it, etc. So that it might be putting all board members kind of on the spot to make very quick decisions in a 3-minute timeline here.
Yeah,
And
I apologize. I don't think we can make a decision on it tonight, but I think we could at least, kind of introduce it and look at it together and then email it to everyone. And again, I apologize. I didn't realize it wasn't attached to that agenda email that I got. Can everyone see that okay? Do I need to zoom a bit?
No, I
Could
see
you-
it zoomed a little.
Could you zoom just a little
Yeah.
bit? There, thank you.
Is that better?
That's better, thanks.
Yes.
Actually, I can go a little more because you don't need to see draft at the top. There we go. And obviously, if we'd have to revise the very end of that and
Mhm.
adjust the date for the request of a meeting because I screwed up on my emails. Sorry, Bill.
That's all right. It is what it is. We just move forward.
Yeah, and Sandy, anytime something needs to go on the agenda and there's no attachment, I won't be offended if you say, "Where the heck's the attachment? What are we looking at?" Because I had it, so I had felt like, well, I've seen it, I had it, but I had it in a separate email.
So Jonathan, am I correct that you and Bill are suggesting that we just table this to the next meeting when we've had a chance to?
Yeah, I think we need to distribute to everyone. I just wanted everyone to have a look at it since we still
Yeah.
did have it on the agenda, and I didn't realize it wasn't sitting there in the packet until just now. But if there are any thoughts, since we have some time allotted, if there are any thoughts, or anything you want, Bill to consider before we send this out to everyone, please just let me know, or we can just send it out and then, take edits and comments via email for the next meeting.
I vote for the latter.
Okay.
That we do it that way rather than
Okay.
getting into a big discussion now.
Yeah, and I apologize for that, and especially I apologize to Bill who put in the work, and then I didn't realize that his work didn't get to Sandy.
That's all right, Jonathan. Don't sweat it, man.
All right.
Full time, you've got a family, you're doing a million different things. You're helping get schools built. No problem, man. No problem.
All right. Thank you, Bill. All right. Okay. So now we move on to the board chair report. Just a couple of things. First of all, at the Village Center, the new Salvadoran / Mexican restaurant opening where New York City Pizza briefly operated is going to be called Grand Sabor. We're probably about a month away from them opening. And sounds like there's some excitement in the community for something a little different. No word on whether they're also going to offer pizza. Is that what, Ginny, is that what you were going to ask? Ginny, you're muted, but I'm positive I was reading your mind and that's what you were going to ask. Are they going to serve pizza?
Exactly it. That's
Okay.
exactly what I was going to ask.
Okay. All right.
Oh, well.
The other thing, over the weekend, Recreation and Parks held another big lacrosse tournament at Bland Air Park. And of course, they used the high school and the middle school as overflow for parking and fields. And Sunday at the middle school, things got a little, I don't want to say out of control, but a little not under complete control. I went by there Sunday at around noon, and I was surprised to see just cars parked on the front lawn of the middle school. Cars parked wherever they would fit, in the fire lane, on the lawn of the middle school, all over the place while a game was going on. And then I went further up the road to the high school, and there was plenty of parking available at the high school lot. So I sent a note to Jamie, our Recreation and Parks contact, and said, I'm kind of disappointed to see what's going on at the middle school. People are just parking wherever they want to park, including up on the lawn. They're basically tearing the place apart. And then we heard from at least one resident, maybe a couple of residents, also commenting on what was going on along Kilimanjaro Road. So Jamie at one point had given me the number to the park ranger station for Bland Air Park. So I called the park rangers and I said, hey, you have the event going on, you have overflow at the middle school. I don't know if you've been over there, but I think we need some traffic and parking enforcement, among other things. And the ranger I initially talked to said, okay, I understand your concern, except it's out of our jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction ends at the park. And I said, well, but when the park is using the schools, doesn't that extend your jurisdiction? He said, no, it's a county police issue. Jurisdiction ends at the park, even if the park has expanded its boundaries out to the schools for a tournament. So I was actually going to try to get in touch with the county police, but then someone called me back from the ranger station. So apparently the ranger who took my call maybe could tell I wasn't satisfied with how it ended, or maybe thought he could do more. So he must have sent it up a little bit up the chain. So I got a call back from someone else, and he said, by the way, I got the details of your call, and I did go around to the middle school. I identified, everyone who had their vehicles parked illegally, told them they had to move and find legal parking, or the next step would be to call the county police to issue citations. So I said, okay, so explain to me again. So you can come around and do stuff. And he said, well, if it's a park event, we can come around and talk to people, but we actually don't have jurisdiction. So if we really did want to ticket someone for parking on the lawn or parking in the fire zone or something, we'd then have to call the county police and show it to the county police, and they would have to issue the citations, which is what they were prepared to do. So anyway, after that call, I did go by there again, and things looked a lot better. I mean, it was still crowded, but there weren't cars parked on the lawn and in the fire lane and in the no parking zones on Kilimanjaro. I then had a follow-up phone call with Jamie yesterday, just to talk over what was happening. And as it turns out, this should be no surprise to any of us in Howard County, but people don't talk to each other. So Recreation and Parks schedules the school facilities. The school system doesn't tell them what else is going on at the school. Turns out there was also a basketball tournament was using the gym at Oakland Mills High School, not affiliated with the school. But on Saturday, there was a school event, the Oakland Mills High School Craft Fair, because I was there working it. And the parking lot was also crowded because they were using the stadium for the lacrosse tournament. So we talked a bit. I actually pointed her in the direction of the school's public calendar so that she could be aware of any school events going on at either of those schools. When she's scheduling things for Blandair, she was not even aware of that. So she thanked me for that, and bookmarked that so she could take a look. We actually looked at the calendar together for the next two events coming up, and I actually did identify something that could be a potential conflict, because there's going to be another tournament at Blandair on the same weekend that Oakland Mills High is doing the matinee and the last evening performance of their fall school play. So, she noted that so she can figure out how not to have people going toward the high school on that day. So overall, it was a very positive conversation, but obviously not all the kinks have been worked out when it comes to recreation in parks using the schools, and therefore using the neighborhood, because that's the only way to get to the schools for these overflow events. So I think it's something we need to continue working on. But honestly, I did feel a lot better after the second call from the park rangers, followed by the call that I had with Jamie on Monday, because she not only appreciated the concerns, but she took she took the advice. She took what I was offering, because I was showing her things she didn't know about that can help her hopefully plan a bit better. While I was talking to her, I also raised that subject that the Oakland Mills High School boosters brought to me, that we talked about in a board meeting, and you all said, yeah, go ahead and raise it with them. Let's see what happens. So, first of all, Jamie was, not aware of the demographics of Oakland Mills High School, or the fact that, from I guess from an economic wealth perspective, it's, probably at the bottom of the rankings of Howard County, and therefore groups like its boosters don't really raise the kind of funds that other high schools raise. I told her about how only one of the 4 outdoor scoreboards works anymore, and the boosters don't have money to get them repaired, things like that. And then I said, so what do you think about, the idea of a surcharge when you have these tournaments at the park and use the overflow? And she sounded receptive, and she said, can you put that together in an email to her and then to someone higher up in recreation and parks, because he'd be able to figure out what's done or what could be done. And one thing she did tell me is Recreation and Parks is continuing to cover the cost of maintaining and replacing the artificial turf at the high school stadiums they use. So as she said, Oakland Mills High would be due for a new artificial turf sometime within the next 2 to 3 years. And that would be the responsibility of Recreation and Parks. So actually, at least there are some things being done to address the wear and tear at the school already by Recreation and Parks. But she said, this surcharge idea, or somehow otherwise making contributions to help with other things at the school, since they're using all the fields, might have some possibilities. So I contacted the boosters. also Monday, that was just yesterday, Monday, and said, hey, here's what happened. I don't want to go too far ahead of you because this is really your idea. You're potentially the recipient of this. What do you want to do next? And they said, just run with it. Just send the email and run with it and see what you can get. I said, all right, how about I copy you? Yeah, copy us. So, I'll send that off and see what they have to say. And then, at some point we'll turn it over to the boosters to work out with them. But I was pleasantly surprised, not getting what I associate with the county as the typical answer, which is no, or we can't do that, or I don't know what to say to that, or anything. I actually got a receptive response, and yeah, let's bring someone else in on this and see what we can do. So I'll keep you updated on that. And Jamie also said that she would, keep us updated on any large events they have planned at Blandair. They only have 2 tournaments left. It's going to be a couple more weekends in November. And after that, really the tournaments start to move south because the weather becomes unpredictable here. But at least now she knows where she needs to go to figure out what the school system is doing with those buildings on the weekend. And she's also going to reach out to the school system to see if they can share information about what other groups are booking the school facilities for use. For example, that basketball tournament had nothing to do with Oakland Mills High School. So the high school probably couldn't have told her that the tournament was happening, but the school system should be able to tell her that because the school system has the booking system for all their facilities. Bill?
Just real quick on the coordination between Rec and Parks and the school system. I work for Rec and Parks in a school building, Gorman Crossing Elementary.
Mhm.
And my personal opinion is there needs to be a great deal more coordination between Rec and Park and the Board of Ed and school facilities. I won't get into any details, but I feel a lot more needs to be done in terms of coordination because they're both county entities. So that whatever initiatives you're able to take, Jonathan, with Jamie, suggestions, ideas, etc., you're helping to bridge the gap. Hopefully you get some positive responses, but a lot of it would come from you and think it through and how it could work. You're going to probably get some support, but my opinion is there needs to be a lot of top-down coordination between the 2 entities. I don't think it's there. Lots of information I have from the inside says that it is not. So bravo in your efforts and be creative because you're blazing a new trail. Thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you, Bill. And in defense of recreation and parks and anyone else using the school facilities, including the school groups like the PTSA, which puts on the craft fair. I used to have access to the booking system for school facilities for Stevens Forest PTA, but I could book any school. And in fact, I booked the middle school once for something for the joint thing that Stevens Forest and Talbot Springs were doing, where they wanted a larger central location. It's a very thorough system, but also very confusing because you literally have to check off every piece of the school you want. Room by room, hallway by hallway, restroom by restroom, field by field, parking lot by parking lot. And I made this mistake a few times. I figured, all right, I've got the cafeteria and the gym, I've got the school. Next thing you know, you find out, oh, they're using the back fields for an athletic event, and they've also scheduled the parking lot. We don't have enough parking for everyone. And I think I do think situations like that are fairly common, where there's not really a good guide to how to use that system. They give people access. They go schedule what you need at the school, and if it's available and you're a school-based organization, you get it free. If you're not school-based, you pay a fee, but you need to check all the right boxes. And if you don't know the layout of these buildings, I mean, it was hard enough for little Stevens Forest Elementary School. I can't imagine getting it right for a high school if you're not, haven't been trained on the system and are not familiar with it. So I think that's just another of the of the challenges, and I think that's another area where the school system needs to go better. When someone goes in and says, I'm going to have this big thing at the high school, I need the auditorium and both gyms, and the school system goes to issue the permit, because they issue a permit for every use. It seems like someone should be in the background going back to you going, The two gyms and the auditorium, they hold a lot of people. You sure you don't also want the parking lot, the hallway, and the restrooms? Because you can check those things off and give people no way of getting to them if you don't check all the other right boxes. So that's a challenge as well. And I screwed that up a couple of times at Stevens Forest. Luckily, the event still went off, but it was a little, we had people standing out there going, "What are you doing here?" So yes, I will continue to try to work that with recreation and parks and the schools. Bill?
Just one common one down at Women Crossing Elementary. It joins with Murray Hill Middle, and behind the two schools, there are athletic fields that host cricket matches and many other things. And often over a weekend, there will be a event in the elementary school, and people from the ball fields where there's no spotter pots want to come into the school to use the bathrooms. And they're not allowed to because they don't have a permit to come in and use the school building.
Right.
Okay? So little things like that that are critical don't happen. And it's a shame because we're the last time I read online, the third richest county in the country and the third most educated county in the country. We can't figure out how to facilitate people using facilities. What's wrong with that picture? So
Yeah.
that's why I say, any initiative you can take and make happen, my hat's off to you.
Thanks. Thank you. That's all I had from a board chair perspective, unless there are any questions for me. Anything else I forgot to follow up on, attached to an email, screwed up otherwise? Okay. All right, Ginny, on to you.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. There was one thing I wanted to cover, and I had sent it to you in writing about the resolution on CA voting in village elections. And I want to thank many of you for commenting, including the co-chairs of the Board of Elections and Sandy. Just to explain it real quick, as you remember last year, actually Oakland Mills did not get notified, but a lot of the villages did. That CA, this was at the last minute, that CA, and one of the reasons was the candidate pool was not going to be casting their votes. And it was like, I think a day or so before. And Sandy, you and I talked about it, and you had found out from some other village manager, I guess, that email had been sent out. So I don't know if that was good news for me in terms of not being part of that candidate pool or bad news, but at any rate, we finally found out about it. So we're concerned that this cannot happen. We thought we had a policy, but apparently we have to do a resolution and make sure that it's understood that we do have a policy on this. And that's basically what I sent you. And just real quick, the Columbia Association president, and I think somebody suggested you should also put in staff, cannot solicit residents to run for office nor provide any kind of support for any candidate. See what else is important to you. The board of directors, however, may by resolution appoint some other person or persons to vote such shares, in which case such person or persons shall be entitled to vote such shares upon the production of a certified copy of such a resolution. And we're thinking about the village picking that person. The Columbia Association shall cast ballots in village elections in a manner to count for quorum only, and not to support the support of any candidate for office, nor for or against any question on the ballot. And what it's basically, the intent here is to say, we have to make a decision as to exactly how the votes that CA has, because it has property in your village. I think there are two villages where it doesn't have any, River Hill and King's Contrivance, I believe. But otherwise, the other 8, CA does have property and therefore has a right or is entitled to vote. But we want to really act in accordance with your village established rules and bylaws. We don't want to do anything that you do not want done in your village, which is why this is being sent. I hope every CA rep gave it to their board, because we're going to be talking about this Thursday night. And the other suggestions that I think, Sandy, you had is where we're saying that the CA Board of Directors hereby appoints the chairs of the election committees of each of the several villages to cast the ballot. So you would be casting it on behalf of the Columbia Association in each of their respective villages elections in accordance with this resolution, which means that it only be used to if you needed a quorum. If you didn't need a quorum, you don't do that. In your case, I want to amend it to be chairs or a chair or co-chairs. And
Or
also,
can you just put
Sandy,
designate?
Yeah, Sandy, you had or designee. So
Yeah,
we would add, I have that written down here. We would add that. So those are the only two changes. I don't know if you have any questions about any concerns, but that was the reason for it, is that sudden action that shocked the villagers. The CA board wasn't notified, and the negative about the reason being the candidate pool. We've got to end that. That cannot occur again. So that's about it. I don't know if you have any additional comments, but I appreciate that you did look at it and send back comments. And I appreciate that Sandy's sending it to Bob and Bob, the Bobs, the co-chairs, and they had some comments. So do you have any concerns about that? Because we will be dealing with it Thursday night.
Nope.
Jonathan?
Yeah, so Jenny, no concerns. You saw this in email, but I just, since we're meeting, I just want to state for the record, I appreciate that this says that CA will cast the ballots in a manner to count for quorum only. I mean, that's the way it always had been. I don't know of any election where CA actually cast the ballots for or against anyone or anything. But I think this also recognizes that, villages are unique, because I think the thing that we didn't appreciate in Oakland Mills was the proclamation from CA's attorney that the villages didn't need CA. I forget exactly how he worded it, but it basically went against what Oakland Mills has always believed and been advised by our attorneys as well as other villages. And I believe that just by leaving this out there, it did set up the potential in the future for villages like Oakland Mills, who believed it worked one way, having to incur legal fees on their dime to get that untangled, because we had CA's attorney interpreting our documents contrary to what our attorney, unfortunately our attorney has passed away, but contrary to the interpretation that our attorney had given us over the years. And I think this settles that, because for the villages who count CA for a quorum, it recognizes that's how they'll do it. If any villages don't, then they can just say, we don't need the CA votes.
Yeah, I think that I recall it. I think he was saying that actually it was almost like your election was illegal because it has to be an annual meeting. Something about an annual meeting, if you recall.
It got very, very convoluted, and it contradicted everything Oakland Mills has been doing for 50 years.
Yeah, I remember that. And we're going like, what?
Yeah.
And then we would have needed a lawyer to say whether what you've been doing has been legal or it hasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I apologize for that. Well, no, I didn't do it, so I don't apologize.
And when COVID hit, I mean, we paid for a complete review of our legal documents as it pertains to our election procedures. So we always felt we were very current on this, which is why it was especially frustrating for me, because the last thing I wanted to do was write more checks to have the same legal review again in response to what CA was saying. And I think this resolves that.
Yeah, one thing that the board, our board wasn't clear on is whether any villages used the votes to add to the winner's total. I know we didn't. I think we only would use them for a quorum, and Sandy would know better whether, I don't think we've ever used them. We usually
we have.
What?
But we have. It's the way you put it on the tally sheet and the way you announce it. You put how many votes you got, and then at the bottom it would say corporate votes, because we have, that's how it is towards quorum.
I believe there's another entity that actually had called the villages and was planning on using, and I think did use, if I'm not mistaken, their votes. They are a property owner in some villages. A big developer in Columbia. So we can't do anything about anything like that. That's perfectly okay. They're property owners, but we certainly can't allow CA to. You need to know what this is about. You need to know there's some rules here, and we can't have a misunderstanding again. We certainly can't have our staff or the president the appearance that certain candidates are being supported or encouraged to run. This is not the way I hope elections would be going or have gone in Columbia. So, and we can't have any statements about candidate pool, and so that's about it. The budget's, we're going to be dealing with a lot of questions about the budget. It's in the packet, all the questions that the board members have. I think Eric did an excellent job of pulling it all together. So you can look at that. I think there are about 25 questions that so far board members have. If you have any additional, please let me know, because we've got to get them to staff. We're going to be talking again on the 8th, but then they'll be pulling another budget together on the in January, and we will be voting February 23rd on the budget. The idea of whether to increase, as we always talk about, annual charge, there's been a request by a board member to give us an idea of how much money we'd make if the 3.5 went to 4.5 of the assessment. So there's always that hanging over us. I'm a firm believer on you've got a budget. The administration went up 10%. That's pretty high, I think. So, I do not want to be increasing the annual charge. I really don't. Your assessment is going up anyway based on where you live, and therefore CA's share goes up. It's that's should be enough for us to function, and it's basically a stable budget. They haven't done anything dramatic about making any changes. Whether I always said, what's your opinion? Should we be making changes? Are there things that we should be eliminating, or new things we should be doing? But you look at the budget, it's pretty much same old, same old. So I don't know if you have any comments about that. And the grant part is at zero. Lynn?
I have a question. It's not about the budget or about the resolution, although I was pretty confused when I read the resolution as to just what that was all about. But my question is that we all had, it wasn't included in our packet, but last week there was a letter that was sent to all of the board members from Owen Brown, and talk about confusing. I wondered what prompted that letter. Is there something going on with CA that we should be aware of? And do you want to comment on that?
Yes and no. Is that okay?
Yes and no. You want to comment, but you're not going to.
No. I will up to a point. I would appreciate if you would also ask to see the Harper's Choice letter. It's different. But other than that, I am not aware of any other village board sending a letter. I think the situation, you'd have to go listen to the last board meeting for more information, because I'm in an awkward spot here. October 27th board meeting. You may want to get on YouTube and have an exciting evening of watching.
That was referenced in the letter, I think.
Well, actually, to make it easier, you might want to just listen to the last 5 minutes of the CA board meeting, okay, to give you a little more of a hint. Personnel is personnel. It's sacred. It should not be discussed in public.
Well, it was though, and that it was in the meeting, evidently in the October 27th meeting. It was.
Well, I'm talking about as a board member, I don't want any ethics complaint against me for violating a person's HR rights or EEOC rights, or, you know, forget it. I don't want that happening. So I really believe that as a supervisor, I should not be discussing. You supervise people. You usually would not be discussing in public, I hope.
Right.
Your
I wasn't asking for a big personnel review. I was just wondering what the thrust of it is. Is there dissensions in the ranks? Is there, we as lien payers and you know, to have to not know really what is going on with the executive branch of Columbia Association is a little unnerving.
Well, I was a little bit shocked myself with what happened. Let me just leave it at that.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot. I'll
no, that's
the 27th, and I'll look at the meeting. I'll review that.
get some popcorn. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It's not like I'm ignoring the matter. It's a matter of what is done in a public meeting and what is really violating, I feel, somebody's rights. Whether they chose to do something or not is not, it's what we have to do. And it should not be, you know, things should not be conducted in public.
No, I get that. It's just to get a letter from another village out of the blue was something that we didn't know anything about. It's a little unnerving.
Yeah, and read the other one. Yeah, I mean,
we never got one from what, Harper's Choice? I don't think we ever got one from her.
Well, it was a draft letter that was, I think, maybe the idea was to have it from all 10 villages, and it came from Owen Brown, but in Harper's Choice, if you'll notice, it changed, is what I've heard. So, but I have not heard of any other village. This is an awkward situation, but deciding to do it. And I personally appreciate your raising the subject and being willing to discuss it with me before you do something like that. I appreciate that. It's a serious matter, so.
Okay, thank you. More to follow.
Well, yes. Yeah. Anything else?
For me.
I gotta get back.
I'm sorry.
On broken land, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I'm sorry. I will, I have the Harper's Choice letter. I will forward that. I didn't realize that Owen Brown went to everyone and Harper's Choice didn't. So I'll forward that now.
Yeah, they well, yes. From what I'm hearing, I've got to take a look at it myself, is that it's a different letter. The original would have been exactly the same, and the Harper's Choice board apparently didn't agree. But I am not aware of any other boards so far sending that type of letter, which is kind of interesting. Let's see, what else? We're having a presentation on the general plan, which we really have to even pay more attention to, I think, as the county continues to move along on this, as to exactly what are the ramifications for Columbia, new town zoning, increased density, open space, whether it's credited or not, or whether we need a percentage of it or not anymore, et cetera. So we need to be really paying attention to that. And that's about it. Unless there's something else, you guys. Scooters, I think I've been asking for I will be asking for a presentation on that, an update at any rate, on the 28th when we meet as the board operations committee. So it would be on, if we succeed in getting it on as a presentation, sort of an update And I'd like to work with you, Warren and Rebecca, on that, as to what we should be asking the county to present and the owner, Spin, to present. But it would be on probably the January agenda. But I'd like to talk to the two of you before the 28th of November, maybe Thanksgiving morning.
There
I guess not.
Dinner at Ginny's house.
you go.
Maybe we'll reconsider this, okay? Oh.
You should talk to Chris Etoff
No,
before
that-
that. He's the guy.
No, I understand that he would be the one we'd ask to present, but I want to get some advice from you about exactly what we should be asking him to cover as well as the developer. You've heard Alicia, what's her name? Alicia, last week. I wasn't able to get back in time for that meeting. And we've gotten emails from other people.
Sure.
There's the positives and there's the, my God, what is this doing in my driveway where I almost fell over it? So it's like, how do we tweak this? Is there a way that we can make this more effective and not wind up with somebody maybe tripping over it and winding up in the hospital, and then we wind up or broken, like we wind up with more bad publicity. So if it's okay, maybe we can get a conference call going because you two are experts on this. Okay.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but I have ridden on one, so I guess that makes me an expert, right?
Okay, well, I mean, on the issue, you
Sure.
Rebecca are very supportive, so it's like, what do you see as, you've read some of the stuff that's been coming in as to what we should be covering in the meeting?
We certainly are opinionated on it. I think that's more.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, okay. All right, well, thank you. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Ginny.
Thank you.
Okay, Sandy.
So I don't want to take up any time because we're really running over. The village is functioning very well. How's that? Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, that works for me.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah.
You know, I work and we keep moving things along. So, if you have a problem, let me know.
Oh, I'm going to take a minute of Sandy's time since Thanksgiving has come up twice. I just want to remind everyone that while we do usually take a recess for the second meeting in December, we have not historically taken a similar recess for that second meeting in November. As it stands now, we would be meeting on November 22nd, which is the week of Thanksgiving. I just need to make sure that if anyone cannot make the meeting, I know in advance to ensure we have a quorum so that we don't find ourselves in that awkward situation where we're all gathered on the 22nd waiting for that fourth person. So,
Oh, I do have
please-
something when you're done.
okay, so please let Sandy and me know if you will not be able to make that meeting on the 22nd as soon as possible so we can ensure we have at least 4 of us there.
I will not be at that meeting.
Okay.
Let me, and I'll have to ask Jerome. No, Rebecca. Okay. I do have to share the holidays for the staff. I'm sorry. I'm pulling it up right now. I can't see you as I'm pulling it up, but I guess you're all okay with me doing this.
I still don't understand why the board has to approve that every year. That seems like it should be under the authority of the village manager, as long as you're not exceeding the number of holidays
I
we
don't
give them
know.
in a
I
year.
feel like I read it somewhere, so
Okay.
I'll just
All right,
pull
then
it
we'll
up
do it.
quickly. So we get 10 holidays in a floating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a floating. What's over there? 10 days off, which includes a floating. And so I go through the calendar each year and pick out the holidays. And so let my staff know also that we are closed as the office, except for if we had any private events the week between Christmas and New Year's, which would be Monday next year. We're not talking this year, we're closed too, but we already approved that calendar. But in 2023, Monday, December 25th to Friday, December 29th. If any employees want to work then, that have work that you need to get done, they can let me know and I can approve whether they work or not. If not, they either take vacation or they're just off. So this is how we do it every year, and it's worked and no one complains, and most people actually use the vacation for that. And those who are not vacation employees, if they work 12 or more hours a week, they do accrue some mandated paid time off, so they can use that, or they can just not work. So that's the calendar. And just if you could just give me an approval, because I'm pretty sure I read it somewhere that I need it.
Sandy?
Yep.
Yeah, if you made the floating holiday November 22nd, that would take care of whether you need to meet or not.
No.
Well, this is for 2023.
Okay.
Floating is at their choice. What,
Never
Jonathan?
mind. Never mind.
Where is January 1st? Isn't that usually a holiday, or does that fall
You know,
on a
I think it's
Sun-
like a Sunday that year.
Okay,
I did look.
all right. And I forget
It
this.
is a Sunday. It is a Sunday. I'm just looking.
Okay. And I forget this every year, so I'm going to ask again. Do you need a formal board vote, or you just need the board to say, yes, we saw it, we're fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Anyone have any objections to this? Okay, we saw it, we're fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's it for me.
All right, very good. So what do we have next? We do have a few architecture items to get through. Lynn.
Yeah, right. And I'm just looking at the agenda and I should have amended it at the beginning. It's only two.
I'll pull them up also.
Not three. And yeah, I've got it on mine, but I can't show.
Well, I'll pull it up.
Okay, great.
Each letter and on its own.
Yes, so there are two letters there are two properties where there's a 15-day violation letter where it's a final notice going out to the property owner. So they've had the two letters previously, and so this is the final one. If they don't respond, if the property owner doesn't respond to this one, then we also have a resolution letter where we would send it along to CA for the CA folks to deal with it. So this first one is 6127 Gadsby Green, and you can read what's going on there right on the screen. No prior approval for an above ground pool. Some of these obviously more serious than others. Garage door remains partially open. I don't know if it's stuck or not. I went and looked at it and couldn't really tell. Lots of debris around the property, including but not limited to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seasonal yard maintenance, discolored siding, fascia paint is chipping and rotting and loose. Branches and yard debris, chimney and roof vents dirty, rusty, shutters falling off, debris in the gutters, and damaged cable vent covers. So the property owners had two prior notices about this and hasn't responded. Not to say, just not responded, not to say, oh, this is what I'm doing to rectify this. So can I have a vote that we can go ahead and send this letter out? So all in favor of sending out the 15, or let's have discussion. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Yeah, I just got a quick question. They didn't ask for a certificate of compliance then, whoever.
No, this is just as we get calls and complaints and
No, no,
follow up
no,
on
no.
violations.
It's just,
A minute, is this a house that was sold recently?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right.
No.
Sorry about that. Okay, got the wrong house. Okay.
yeah, I think the pool one is probably the most egregious one, but
Yeah, it probably started with that complaint, but then once someone doesn't respond, they're told like, okay, next time we're gonna look at your whole property.
go out and look at everything. So can I have someone motion that we go ahead and send this letter out to the property owner?
So moved.
Just second? Good, Bill seconds. Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and me. So, okay, great. And then moving on with the resolution letter, just doing this in advance. Obviously, we're not going to send this out right away, but if after this we still don't hear from the property owner, then we have already prepared a letter that goes right to, I think it goes to Deb Buck, doesn't it, Sandy?
Yeah.
I think she's the one who gets it. And then CA determines what kind of action they may or may not take on it. So again, can I have a motion that we go ahead and authorize the resolution letter?
So
Good.
moved.
Bill and Warren seconds. And let's have a vote. All in favor of moving forward with this? Good, I've got everybody and me. So terrific. And the next one is for Rock Sparkle. And this is 9627 Rock Sparkle. Again, the violations are kind of many and some more egregious than others. No prior approval for a chicken coop or animal coop, no approval for a fire pit, no approval for a rain barrel, no. So these are not necessarily violations, but they've just never asked for approval for them. No approval for the garden beds. This is kind of pretty major. They extended their second floor and changed the front elevation, moved the front door location and moved the took away the sliding door and didn't apply for that. Changing the windows, changing the door, building a stone patio in the back, miscellaneous debris around the property. And this is one actually, we just dealt with this with another property that the shed in the back of the house was approved with the stipulation that they would do plantings around the shed to shield it from view because it wasn't directly behind the property line of the house. So we did an appeal on this and did the same stipulation. But in this case, they never planted anything. So can I have a motion to go ahead and send this 15-day notice to the property owner?
So moved.
That's who? That's Bill and who else?
Oh, if Bill had his hand first, I'll second it. However you want to
Okay.
call us.
Okay, and Jonathan seconding, and a vote, all in favor of sending this to the property owner? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great, thank you. And then same as with the Gadsby Green, that if we get no response within a set of time, that doesn't mean they need to rectify all of these things. They just need to respond and say, we hear you, this is what we're going to do. We know we've got a problem here. So if we don't get any response from them, that we will go ahead and forward this to CA for whatever action they deem appropriate. So again, can I have a motion? Bill and Warren, thank you. Bill gives the motion and Warren seconds it, and a vote. All in favor?
I guess, yeah, there we go.
One. Just a vote for anything.
Yeah, I vote.
Okay. Everybody's in
Vote
favor.
early and often, that's the motto.
Okay. Okay, thanks, everybody. And that's it. That's it for architecture.
Okay, education, I gave the update at the last meeting that we don't meet again until before our next meeting, so nothing from me. Warren, anything public space?
We had a meeting last month. I missed last meeting, so I guess we had 3 things. I gave a presentation to CA, thanking them about their support for the bike corral on the 4th of July. That was well received because almost everyone there was complaining about the stream restoration. So it was nice to have a thank you.
You did a great job.
Well, thank you. I did a ride on the road diet, the Oakland Mills road diet with, that was the county led thing. That was that's our first protected bike lane in the county. And that was a great experience. And lots of people are using it now. So it's pretty cool. And, I brought up at the meeting about the Stevens Forest crash and the follow-up that Jonathan and I mentioned. The one feedback I got from 2 people on the committee, they both have had kids there. Their kids went there and they're 40 years old now, is that the things we experienced that we saw where people are running across the street and parking across parking across the street and kids are running across. That's been happening since they've been around. It's been 50 years of that. And the only thing that ever seemed to work was to have a police car parked across the street. That's the only thing that's ever been effective. So I thought that was interesting. So that's about it. Yes,
All
Jim.
right.
Yeah, comment. Warren did an excellent job, as he said at the CA board meeting, but he's very modest. So I made sure that the board understood that this was Rebecca's and Warren's baby, the bike corral. This was their idea. First time it ever happened. So Oakland Mills again is getting credit for doing something innovative and environmentally great, etc. And he started turning red, but other than that, everything was great. So you really deserve that credit, you guys. You did a great job. So
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Warren? Okay, I think we're finally at that point of the bulletin. Amy, do you have anything for us? Sandy?
Yeah.
No, Ginny?
yeah, actually, one of our Oakland Mills residents has a jazz concert at the Coffee House at the Interfaith Center in Owen Brown.
Oh, Lavinia.
Yeah, I think it's 7 o'clock.
It's in the e-news, I think. Amy.
Yeah, which should be great.
All right, Rebecca?
I wore out all my words tonight already.
Okay,
Also,
Warren.
it is technically 10:15 to my body.
True. Warren?
Right, that's why we're all so out of it right now.
The only thing I have is that the Howard County, through their gohoward.org group, they're doing a Cranksgiving where you can ride your bike to pick up food or whatever for Thanksgiving gifts and donate them at near Merriweather. So that's this Saturday from 9 to 12. If anybody wants to, just to let you know about that. So it's at gohoward.org/Cranksgiving. That's with a C.
Thanksgiving, okay.
Cranks, yeah.
Thanks, Warren. Lynn, excuse me, Lynn?
No, nothing more from me.
All right, Bill?
Yep, nothing more.
All right. All I had was, as you all know, every year, WBAL Radio and Oakland Mills High put on the Concert for Kids for the kids campaign. It's raised over $100,000 over the years. This year's event, matinee and evening performance, are on December 3rd, and the ticket site has opened. So please consider and also spread the word, concertforkids.net. It's always a good performance for a very good cause. All the proceeds go directly to the kids campaign. No one keeps anything. Even when the fine arts boosters sell concessions, they donate the profits to the kids campaign. So it's a nice thing for the community. And if there's nothing else, I think we can adjourn. Thank you very much.